Hello there, Servum17 once again. This is my Bayonetta 2 Infinite Climax video walkthrough. This is Chapter 2, A Remembrance of Time, which might as well be a euphemism for extremely convoluted plot mechanic. But this is the ice elemental of the urbane creature. I'm not too sure if they have different names, but I'm just going to call him that for the sake of this, because it's the same session and my knowledge of the enemies is not very good at this moment. The creature that was with him before he spawned is a character known as, I think it's Enrapture. And you'll notice that both of, I think there was two of them, they died very quickly. There might have only been one of them. The reason they die very quickly is a good thing, because they're a mage. They will buff enemies by making them gaze, which is the state you can put them in if you taunt or if you wear the Gaze of Despair. And of course, gazed enemies is tough. They do give you most combo points, I believe, because you get a little bit of a benefit. So if you're ever having trouble running for style and you can't get a combo, gazed opponents will definitely help, but they're also more dangerous, so you need to know what you're doing. But a very powerful strategy against these big enemies, and indeed any enemy that doesn't block it during witch time, is to use the whip, which is what I'm using. The whip on this game is not quite the destructive death machine that it was on the first game, but it still has some interesting components to it. The one that you're going to see me use a lot is, during witch time, enemies can't block it, so you can use it to put them on the floor, which puts them in a little bit of a recovery position. It's like a hard knockdown. Oh, this dude, Jesus Christ, this guy's called Allegiance, I believe. This is the new Grace and Glory. This guy, whenever he turns up, he is terrible news. Not only does his attacks, they are a mixture of both slow and fast. They are incredibly damaging. He can parry you like he just did then. He can summon swords that are these gold-leafed things that he fires at you. He is pretty much the worst parts of the Bible condensed into one asshole enemy. And the thing that sucks the most about him is he drops the shittest weapon. I have no idea what Hashimoto was thinking when he did the enemy weapons on this game, but they are so neutered compared to the first Bayonetta, I almost don't think it's worth ever using them. There are a few that are really funny and quite fun, but for the most, these are not the wreck tools they used to be. There's been some serious balancing happening, or some serious nerfing, depending on your perspective. This right here is, I believe that, once again, that is an accolade. Ooh, Jesus, that was close. Who has dual swords instead of the lance. And of course, we fought him there with two of the Enraptures who buffed him with a gaze. This guy attacks really fast. The double sworded dude, this guy, has some of the fastest standard attacks in the game, and I kind of like that, because it means when he attacks you, you have to press dodge, instead of watching for him to move, and when he does, pressing dodge, and he hasn't even finished rearing his arm because he's taking forever. Like, I think Bayonetta is at its finest when it's fast, and the telegraphing on this game is obnoxious at times. It's something that has to be learned, and unfortunately it means removing pre-programming from Bayonetta 1, and it's one of the hurdles to get over from an experienced player. But speaking of the enemy arms, I'm not too sure if it's just the way life is treated on this game, because I've already mentioned that for some reason the enemies have a ridiculous amount of HP, and you really feel like you're beating on them for a little bit too long, and some of the fights take an insane amount of time, and I'm under no illusion that there's probably a specific way the game wants you to play, and I think most of it is Infinite Climax. I'm intentionally not going to use Infinite Climax too much throughout this guide. I'm going to use it at the beginning just to show it off, just to show you some of the interesting things you can do, because it is really fun and it looks great. But I actually think it's the worst part of Bayonetta 2. And I know that sounds like a surprising opinion, and it probably is. But I have some really good reasons for it as we take on another allegiance here with some archer acceptances, I think they're called. So you need to kill the gold guy. If the gold guy's alive, you're in trouble. He needs to go down, and he needs to go down quick, or he's going to give you so much grief. Right now, though, I'm playing with this guy because he's a lot more fun to fight than him. You see that bullshit? The first hit, the motherfucker parried me. Like, it's so strange. You know, he's one of those enemies that you're going to hate until you learn to fight him, and I don't know how to fight him yet, so I just really don't like him. And they demolished me. Look at my life, you know. super damaging, super dangerous enemy. But you might wonder, well, Chris, why do you think Remembrance Climax is a bad thing? It's a bad thing for me, is what I'll say. That's the modifier I'll add. Ooh, I dodged his grab for a change. That's pretty rare. A really cool thing about Chernobog is every slash of the scythe, if you hold it, it will fire the blades like a shotgun. It's so fun. But the scythe's a little bit slow for my tastes, and the moveset isn't quite as interesting as I thought it would be, and you can't put it on your feet, which is really disappointing. But Remembrance Climax is something they've put in this game for new players, I believe. I think it is a conceit that they've added to make it a little bit more accessible to those who aren't used to Platinum games or used to, you know, rather punishing action games. And it's also something, it's a button that you press that makes everything look awesome. It's a hype button for the game. And it's fantastic at what it does. It makes an already overstimulated, crazy, hectic, you know, balls to the wall action game even more actiony. It takes it from 10 to 13. And it looks great, the frame rate holds up, and you get some genuinely just delicious animations that look beautiful, they look fun, they're great. But I think there's far too much of an emphasis on mashing buttons, and it supersedes intelligent, you know, and disciplined inputs to doing combos. And Bayonetta's already a game that gets criticised for being button mashy heavy, when I personally don't think that that's true. I think it's a valid critique. I think you can play the game that way, but I'm of the belief that you can play every game by button mashing. You just have to have the perseverance to get through. Doesn't mean that's the best way to play it or the way it was intended. And I think Remembrance Climax, for the new audience, is a great addition, but I believe for the people who are coming from Bayonetta 1, aside from just how goddamn amazing it looks and how fun it is, it's definitely a detriment to the gameplay and the mechanics, and I'm going to go into a little bit further detail in the next video. But that is the end of Chapter 2. Thank you very much for watching, and you take care now.